K2. 2 weeks ago on a Monday night, there was a long debate here over the changes to the proposed policy. I went home, worked on it later that very same night, so it would be fresh in my mind, and sent it off around midnight, I think. And immediately started to get different comments. You were all good. Nobody was using reply all, but I started getting comments from different counselors that I had gotten it wrong, and even the clerk indicated that. So I'm now re-answering, changing my answer to your question to me 2 weeks ago on Monday. Do I think I can put together a policy incorporating the comments of the council? And the answer is no, I don't think I can. I basically left you, the version you have is the version from midnight, Monday night, 2 weeks ago, and I suggested that the council members come up with whatever changes they want to put for you on the debate. And in fact, I guess someone here is, I don't know who, there's no name, but there was one on our packet here. Someone has, in fact, presented a alternative policy, but what you have before you as K2 is what I thought I heard you say, or what I thought I heard at least 4 of you say on last Monday night 2 weeks ago. Beyond that, the only other thing I'd say is, again, what I thought I heard people, what I thought we were working to in this is not a successful victory for one side or the other as to what the state law might or might not say, but simply a working policy for the town, which might or might not be even stricter than state law, so that you would have something to describe to the average citizen, this is the way we're going to do it. Not necessarily what everybody agreed the state law says we should do, but this is what we were going to do as our interpretation to comply with the spirit of the law. So, I leave it to your debate.
Well, I did pass out tonight a draft for a resolution, and I don't think any of the points are any surprise. It's what I've been consistently arguing. And I might note, that in all honesty, I am not trying to push any particular view or any particular agenda. I mean, I've looked at this statute and I really believe that this is the process that is called for by this statute. I know I made this flip comment in response to something Mr. Murphy said about, well, nobody would ever do something extreme like that. And I made the flip comment, I think, well, I have some respect for the Anglo-Saxon tradition of the village idiot, but I think we can protect ourselves from that person. It's a flip comment. But I think that what the state legislature was trying to do was provide some sort of protection. You'll see as I drafted this resolution, I'm pretty much following what Andy had put together. For example, in what I've identified as paragraph number 1, all I've added to it is at the direction of the town council. And actually, I think Cecil was the first one to use that language, and I think Ed then followed up with that same language at the last meeting. Number 2 is essentially the same, the notification requirement. And then in 3, 4, and 5, I've just tried to break it down so that at least I have, based on my understanding of the statute, that following the certification by the state, there has to be a 4/5 vote. And then with paragraph 4, that any budget in excess, with an excess levy approved by the town council, shall also require the approval of the majority of the elected present and voting at the town financial meeting, which is the language I've essentially taken from the statute. The only thing that I've added to it, is paragraph 5. And this is a question we've been talking about, but at least I took a shot at it. I know that this is a controversial issue. But what I've written is, quote, if certification is not granted by the Auditor General or the State Department of Revenue as set forth in subsection D of the Act, Neither the town council nor the electors present and voting at the town financial meeting may approve a budget with an excess levy. I don't believe that there's any ambiguity at all with respect to subsection D, and we have to get that certification from the Auditor General or the State Department of Revenue before we proceed with any approval by the town council or any approval by the town financial meeting. But I think basically I am following Mr. Tice's proposal with respect to paragraphs 1 through 4.
Jay, the paragraphs 1 and 2, where you and I part, just as folks, is
And what
now these were APA, okay, and they were. It was right after the act was passed that we discussed. It's their regulations. They've never been revoked or changed.
And you, I'm sure, Ms. Durkee, have heard the same argument I've heard over and over, not argument, point made by a judge who will say it's not a matter, Mr. Lambert or Ms. Durkee, of legislative intent. It's a matter of what the statutory language is. I'm sure we both read that.
I know, but the regulations carry the force of law under the state.
Only if they're
Coupled with the conference, and nobody's ever asked me, but the conference which they held for all the municipals people. But the problem I have is when you think about what the legislature did, okay, I think it was perfectly reasonable where you had a governing body, and most councils have 4 or 5 members. They said it's going to be near unanimous when you vote in a representative capacity. But when you're voting at the financial town meeting, you're not, it's us, it's you, it's me, it's the people in the audience. They are in control. You're not voting in a representative capacity.
But
I think there is a major difference in a legislative concept to do that.
But I think you'd agree with me that the state legislature has the authority to protect the public by requiring enforcement. You may argue that that was not the intent,
No.
but I'm saying that the state legislature would have had the authority to make a 4/5 requirement of the town council as well as a majority vote of the
Yes.
financial town meeting.
And
They
they
would have had
didn't.
that authority.
And they
But
didn't.
by the language of the statute, they did. And there's no way to get around the
You
language
keep saying
which says,
that.
shall also approve the excess levy. When it's talking about the financial town meeting, it specifically says the electors present and voting at the town financial meeting shall also approve the excess levy. We can't make that word also just as a joke.
But, Jay,
This is the issue there.
Law says or, one or the other.
yes.
But even if we look at the Department of Administration's 3.07 paragraph, it starts out, once a city/town is notified that it may exceed the levy cap to that year, et cetera, then it says, or a majority vote. But it still says that the Department of Administration has to tell us that they've approved of
Yeah, I don't have a problem, I've never had a problem with going to the Department of Administration or having the council through its administrator. I think that part was settled. It is placing the council in a veto position prior to going to the financial town meeting that bothers me. Because that's our charter, whether we vote for it or not. 3 times it has gone. Do you want the council to have final authority? No, we do not. And so the 4/5 vote, near unanimous voting, I think puts that council in a really veto position. I don't think that's good for the town. If we want to get rid of the financial town meeting, so be it. But until that happens, I don't think the council should be in a position to veto once we get that approval. I think it should be by majority vote.
And I guess we're not going to resolve it because, I'm looking at Ed's copy here of the regulations. I guess the only point that I could make is that 3.07 changes the language.
It may not.